Hello everyone and welcome to this second video of this series where we build the user interface of our application. The starter files, as you can see in this folder, this is the folder for the AI test editor folder. When I open it, it's only one folder in there called resources, inside which I have some images, which are just the images that we use for in our application. It doesn't even contain any Python file, so we are coming to develop everything from scratch. But if you scroll down to the description, you see a link to the GitHub repository where you can have access to all these images and then also use them along. I downloaded them from the internet and they are very free to use also. So let us open our Qt Designer and start the development process. So inside Qt Designer, what we want to do is to create a new window, a main window, of course. And then first, let us create what we call a resource file. That is how you add the icons to our application. So come to this tab where you see resource browser, edit, and then in here you click on this icon to create a new resource file. And so in here it's telling us where to create it, so we can give it a name of res, and then we can add a prefix. So the prefix, you can say img, so imgs for images, or img just for short, and then okay. I shouldn't have closed. And then now we can add files using this button. Sorry, this one, to add files. And then in here we can, this is the file we just saved, the resource file. You can go into the resources, the images, and then select everything. And then open. So we have added all of them to our resource file. Now we can close this one and then have access to them. The reason I'm using resource files instead of just accessing the images one after the other, like we can actually use the images one, but if you use a resource file, it works best across all operating systems because of how some of the operating systems represent paths to files on our computer. If you use the actual image path, it can throw some errors. That is why I'm using the resource file. So to start with, we have this application open side by side that will guide us to do the work. So let us quickly create all our actions. So all the actions that we will ever use in the application. I will expand this side and come to the action editor. In this place, I'll click the say new. This is the new action. The tooltip also new file. I'll create a new file. And then I can add the icon by clicking here. And then instead of choose file, I'll choose resource because we are using resources. And I have my resource here, the images. And then the new file icon here is new.png. I select it and then I click inside this box where it says press shortcut. And I press the shortcut keys on my keyboard. So I want it to be Control and O. You can make it anything. Then I press OK. I see that my action is created here for me. I'll create a new one for open. And then it will be open file or open a file. And then I'll choose the icon for this one to be open. Where are you? Yes, this one. Did I just make the new Control O? This one should rather be Control O. So I'll quickly go back and change the new. I can double click on it, it will come. I use this button to reset it and then Control N. The third one will be save. So save this file. And then I can choose a resource, come to images, and then I choose the save. Control S for my shortcut. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed up the video at this point and then create for all the other actions also. Okay, so I think I'm done with all the actions we will need in our application. If I miss any of them, we will come back and then do it also. But this UI file will also be pushed to GitHub. So if you have any problems also with yours, you can, after cloning or downloading or forking, you can also compare it with yours. So let us also start developing the application. The process will not be very long. We will want to call the class editor. And then here we will change the name also. For now, it will be Tommy's Docs. You can make it anything. And for the window icon, we choose also a resource file and then choose this app.ico. And then here we will create a file menu. Inside the file menu, we will here to also create the edit menu, not inside it, aside. I think this one was changed, if I remember correctly. The next one should be insert assistant and about. So insert assistant, and the last one about. So in here we will drag all the actions that are in the file menu. I think we bring this one up. There was the new, so I just drag it when I hover it over the file menu to pop up this window, I can paste it in here. You see that it has changed to plus. From that warning sign to plus, I can leave it here. Can drag and drop, open also, save. Yep. Then I can add a double click to add a separator. I think save, print, preview, export to PDF and SS. Okay. My print action. Yes, it's here. Oh, I don't remember. I think I did not create the exit action, so let me quickly create it. Now I can drag it up to this place. And we are done with the file menu, so we can come to the edit, what was there. Copy, cut, paste, undo. Okay. Looking for copy, cut, paste. For the change, I think it was background color and then font color. Okay. And the insert, it was date and time. Insert time, insert date. Okay, and the assistant, we had open assistant. We also had the ones that did not have icons. Paraphrase text. You can of course add some actions you want apart from paraphrasing the text. Now I'll show you how to write the commands. Is very easy. Summarize text, and then the last one about us, the developer. Of course, we should get some credits, and then about the app. I think we are done with it. So I can quickly preview it and see. So, wow, okay. I think it's good to go. So we can now add our toolbar by right-clicking and say Add Toolbar. And then we will change some properties of the toolbar. It shouldn't be movable, so the person shouldn't be able to move it around. There's that option. I have to make sure that toolbar is selected in the object inspector. So I'll check movable to false. We don't want the user to be able to move it. And then here we can also now drag all the actions we want on the toolbar onto the toolbar. So just new. All the actions you want on the toolbar, you can drag them there. Let me append separator. Forgot to add the icon to the justify. Okay. You can see that in the finished version, there's this font box here that you can select font from. We will not add it in the UI here, we will type it in code. So that is why I didn't create them. Okay, so now we are also done with our toolbar, and then we can now go ahead and create the others. In here, I will bring in what we call a text edit. Should be here, not the plain text edit, the text edit. I will not change the name. I just will leave it to this text edit because it's just that one be the main one. And then I'll bring in a frame. Looking for a frame. Yes. Inside this frame, I'll call it the chatbot frame. So I'll change the name here to chatbot underscore frame. You can name it anything, of course. And then we can see that we have two text edits and then a button, two buttons down there. So let's quickly drag the text edits inside. The top one, I'll call it prompt. That will be the prompt we send to the AI. And this one will be response. I'll just name it response to signify the response from the AI. But for the prompt, we can add a placeholder text by coming to this place. Should be here. Down here, placeholder text, maybe tell me something. But for all our text edits, we will also change the font size to 12 for visibility. You can leave it as where it is. This one too, I'll change it to 12. And I think they'll tell me something. I should add some dot to the end. Okay. This one too, I'll change it to 12. Of course, this one will even be dynamic, so I don't have to bother myself. And inside this frame, I'll bring one more frame, which I'll not even bother myself naming. And inside which I'll bring two push buttons. One here, which I'll call the send. And I'll increase this one's font size. 12, yep, it's okay. And then can copy it and paste it. And then change the name here to insert into editor. Of course, we use layout to make them dynamic, responsive. That's why I'm not bothering myself with all the hardcore resizing. We have to change the names. This one to send push button or send underscore push button, and then this one to insert underscore push button. But this one's color, you have to change it. I think the original color is green. So color side, background color, this shade of green, I like this one. And then I can choose the color itself to be white. Okay, then come to this one also, change the style sheet. The background color, let me see, some shade of blue. This one should do for me. And then color itself to to be white. And I apply it. Okay, this is good to go. So the first thing I do is to click on the frame where the buttons are, and I'll lay it out horizontally. Then I'll click on this first, the prompt, hold Control Command on Mac, and then click on the second one. And I'll come and click on this one that says layout vertically in splitter. It will lay them out vertically in the splitter for me. If yours goes beyond the frame like mine, don't worry. Now click on the frame itself and lay them out vertically. So now they'll be inside there nicely like this. And after that, click on the frame and then this text edit, and then lay them out horizontally with a splitter, sorry. And then click let us do some changes to the splitters. So this is the first splitter for the two. Make sure you can select it here. There's an option that says children collapsible. We don't want the children to be collapsible. Yes, check this one off. In that case, when we resize it, it will not close the window when it becomes too small. And then the second splitter, which is up here, that separates the text box, the main one, and the right side. You can also check the children collapsible off. Yes. So now we can do a quick preview. Of course, you see that now I can resize it and then it will not collapse. The children will not collapse. You can also do this resizing here and then it will not collapse. If the collapsible was checked at this point, it would have collapsed. Then it will be gone off the screen. So now we can now select our central widget and then lay it out vertically. So our form is done. You can now maximize it, and then now you see that I can resize this one. This is what the splitter does. I can resize also this one also, but I think I want to give a fixed or maximum size to this one. It cannot go all the way to this left side. So I'll come in here, then select the frame, the chatbot frame, and then I will give a maximum width of 400. You can give it anything you want, or you can leave it like that if you also want to. So now the maximum is 400, but it can become smaller. I want it this way. I like it that way. So now that we are done, we have to now save our work. You can see I can create a new folder here, name it UI. Then inside that UI folder, I will name this one editor. If I can spell editor, editor.ui. Now that our file is saved, we can go back into PyCharm. You can come here, you see that it is here like this. Yep. So let's convert our UI file and then see what we can do with it. To convert the UI file to Python file, what I'll do is I'll right click on it, open in Explorer as I always do, and in here I'll open in terminal. You can use any terminal you want, the command prompt or whatever. And this is the command as we have seen in previous videos. Let me maximize this test. The type is pyuic5, and then this flag comes, and then the file that is coming in -x, small x, and then the name of the file, which is editor.ui. Don't forget the extension. The flag for the output also is hyphen and then small letter O. And I want to also name the file editor.py. When I press enter, you see that a new Python file will be created here. But this is not okay. Let me just create it there. Okay, I didn't get an error. Let me come back to PyCharm. It has been created, but I don't want it inside the UI. I don't want it there, or I should keep it there. Maybe it should be there. And so what I do in most of my applications, and the ones that will be building on this channel, I will not run this UI file directly like I did in previous tutorial, write our functions in there. No. We'll create another file, which I choose to call main.py. You can name it anything. That one is in the root folder. And then in here we import from QtWidget. I'm using the wildcard import. It's not really recommended, but we're importing a lot of things, and I think it should help us now. And then now we can also import the UI Python file we created. So from UI import editor, the Python editor file. And what you can do here is to create a class which we can call editor. You can name it anything. And this will be a function of the Q application. Where is it? Yep. And also a function of the no, we are not importing the file. We are importing the class. When we open it, you see that the UI file that was generated, it had this class here. This UI editor class, that's what we are importing. So the import should be from UI.editor import UI editor. And then we can now pass it in here, UI editor. And then we call our init function to underscore init. Then call the super class also, so super call. So self.window, not window icon, self.window equal to. We actually don't need the Q application, it's actually Q main window. I was trying to import Q main window. So this window is equal to Q main window. Then self.setUI. Setup UI. And then we pass in self. That is the class instance itself. So, and then here we can go self.show. Of course, if you have seen most of my applications, I come here and I just type main, and then if underscore name is equal to main, then I do the application blah 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 and run. But this is where we keep most of our functions, so I'll also not do this one here. I'll create a new file. You can name it anything, but I'll call it run.py. Inside this run.py, I'll first import the class we created there in the main.py. So from main, import editor, the editor class we created. Why is it not? Wait. From editor import main. So from editor, is it from main import editor? Sorry. From main import editor. Then we also from QtWidget want to import Q application. And then here we can declare our you can call our application. So application or app for short equal to Q application. But in here we have to pass the sys.agree. So let me import the sys library also. So import sys. The sys. Most of the things I will not be explaining in details because in the series I've explained a lot of things. So I will not be explaining a lot of things in detail here. But the things that I have to explain, for sure I will explain them. And then in here we can create a window object to be equal to editor record. But if you have watched almost all my videos, you know that this is not the application style I like. So I like my Fusion style, so I'll set the style to Fusion. And then here I'll just call sys.exit app.exec. And this one should run our application. So what we will use to run the application is this run function. I think we have an error in our main.py, or what is that sound? Oh, from PyQt5.QtWidget import star. Yeah, now it's okay. So what we'll be using to run our application is this run button here. Okay, it is running the calculator we built because I have to right click inside and then run it before it adds it to the configuration. Yes, we have an error. It says no module named res.rc, and so we can inspect it now to see what it is saying. Remember, we use resource files for our application. So what Python or PyQt is telling us is to convert the resource file to Python file, which is not difficult to do. So in the same sense, let me close. Where my resource file is, I'll right click and open in Explorer. Now I want to convert this one to where is it? So open in terminal, and then how I can convert this resource file to a Python file is to type pyrc5, and then here I give the flag for the output file that will be generated after the resource file is converted, which I'll call I think let us use the name that was given in the Python file, res_rc.py, and then after that we pass in the name of, we leave a space and then give the name of the resource file that we are now converting, so res.rc. This one is a little different from the conversion of the UI file to Python. That one we bring in the UI file then followed by the Python file. By this one, we pass in the Python file that we generated followed by the UI, the resource file we want to convert. It's actually QRC, not RC. QRC. When I hit enter, okay, pyrcc not found. Or it's I think it's pyrcc5. Yep, I think it should be this one. Okay, yeah, it's pyrcc5 rather. And you can see that if we come back to Python, this one is now created here, our res dot blah blah blah. So this is what came out from it. We don't even need it. All that we need to know is that it works for application. So now this one shouldn't throw an error. If they're okay, they are not in the same directory. So we have to now move this one into UI, the RC into UI, the resource file. And now it should be gone. Yes, it is gone. So now we can run our application again and see. I think we have another error. Why is it still throwing the error? Oh. res.rc. Why is it still throwing the error? Okay, I think this resource file depends on the, you have to not undo typing. This RSC file depends on this resource folder. Is a relative path, so we can't move it into the editor straight away like that. It wouldn't work. So that we move the editor now also into the main window, which I think it's the best thing to do. So let's move it into the parent window and leave the UI files inside the UI folder. So in that case, we have to now make some small edits in our main.py import. You can see it even tried to change it for us. Python is that intelligent, so we can just import from editor, and then hopefully now our application shows. Still the icons are not showing. Let's see why. Okay, so my import was gone. All I have to do is import it again. Import res rc. And then when I now added the import, is now also working. So this is now our application. Everything is working fine, except that when we click a button, nothing happens. And I also told you that we will add the font option, font box, and all those things in there. So let us add them. Since the main focus of this one is not to build a UI with code, I will now come and paste this code which I have copied from my other screen, copying from my other file, and then paste it in there. But I will also paste that code in the description below. So after the align justify, that is where we want to insert that particular thing. So I come down by 2, then I'll paste in this code. All that this code is doing is to add a separator to the toolbar and create a font combo box, set the current font, and add the widget, that's the font combo, to the toolbar. You see, we could not add it because they were widgets, but we need them as widgets, not as actions. And then another separator came, and then now the font size, that's a QSpinBox. And we set the default value now to 10. You can change it to anything. In fact, let me make it 12. And then we say that, okay, add that one also to the toolbar. This code also will be in the description, besides the Python file that will also be found in the GitHub repository. You can get them from all of those places. So now when we run it, we see that that one is also added. In fact, by default, it gets us all the fonts on our computer, then we can work with it. But one more thing, then we are done with the UI, is for us to close this editor, probably the run also, and then come back to this place, and then I want it to show maximized every time it runs. So self.show maximized. Run it for the last time, and then now it shows maximized. So that will be all for this video in the building of the user interface. In the next videos that follow, we will enter the interesting part where we develop all the algorithms from scratch. So thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next video. In order not to miss those videos, be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel, and then hit the notification bell, the button, so that anytime I post the video, you'll be the first to get it. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for your time.